With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
After the high banks and the fast speeds that we had over at Homestead, we take things down to tiny little old Martinsville. And tiny it might be in footprint, it puts on a big show. As the PRL Truck Series is going to take part in the latest round here in Virginia. Should be a fascinating one. I'm Joe Peak, along with Dylan Coyle here on RaceSpotTV. And this short track is known as one of the oldest, in fact, the oldest on the NASCAR schedule, has been around since the very beginning. And of course, it's part of the schedule that I mentioned a little bit earlier there, Dylan, of this season, taking us to about the halfway marker and just beyond.
Yeah, this is the second half of this PRL Truck Series season, and a pleasure to have you all joining us tonight on RaceSpotTV. Going to be a lot of fun covering these races at Martinsville. Always a fun time at the Paperclip in Virginia. You know, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think we're going to see a lot of chaos tonight, and we'll have to give our predictions on numbers a little bit later, Joe.
Absolutely, and of course, for those that have been following, you know that we have the playoffs here as well for... we're going to be looking at the standings first before we get to the playoffs. So this is where they are for the teams, or for the drivers rather, with Dennis Faircloth up at the top. Not that far behind there for Steve Loving, only 12 points. That could definitely be made up here. It doesn't take much to get sucked into the back of the pack, especially at a track like this. Dallas Sullivan also still in the hunt, but then you start to get a little farther away down with guys like Nicholas Starling and Matt Karakov. So mainly watch out for those top three as kind of our drivers that are starting to show themselves to be the main factor in this season. We do have a team standings as well here for Dylan. Why don't you run us through that?
Yeah, team standings right now, it's pretty tight, honestly, throughout everybody in the field. The largest gap is from first to second. Team CPR leading DDI Motorsports 44 ever right now, and that's a 36-point gap. If that's the biggest gap at the halfway point this season, that's a pretty exciting mark. So, of course, there's a 10-point difference between DDI Motorsports 44 ever and Regenboog Motorsports. It'll be a lot of fun to see what that top three battle looks like, and for spots higher up on the podium from everybody else in the top five, and honestly, even the rest of the top 10. It's still wide open.
Absolutely, and the drivers are going to be fighting hard out here, as this is where the playoffs stand here for the trucks. Right now, Dallas Sullivan on the win is automatically through into the next stint. But look down towards Easterday, Pruitt, Massey. It's not much between them. Only 3 points separating that cut line right now. So that could swap around with even the smallest of margins. Practically whoever finishes in front of the other. Certainly going to be something to keep your eyes peeled for on these playoff drivers and where they will wind up after today. Also, we want to mention our sponsors for this series. Of course, the Advanced Sim Racing is owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Series is also brought to you by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision 5 coupon code. It's also brought to you by the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Then, of course, there's Moradness. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by a professional race car driver, Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. And finally, Mr. Hedge Sim Racing Photography. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography captures your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. Big thanks to everybody for helping make this thing possible. But qualifying looks like it might already be up. I don't see anybody out on the track. We've only got a few seconds left, and Brett Adams seems to have that critical pole position here, Dylan, claiming the track position for the start.
That is perhaps the biggest gap I ever expected to see at Martinsville between the pole position and second place. Once we see this grid, we'll see that second place back to pretty much, 20th is almost the same gap as you see from the pole. Look at that time at 19.688. Look at that gap, man. Dennis Faircloth in second.
Yeah, not often you get this wide of margins. Nicholas Starling going to be starting on the inside of them on the second row. Garrett Austin will be in P4. And then row 3 has Steve Loving and Stephen Kirby with an all-Steve third row. Jake Mackey starts in 7th. Mike Witt will be P8. And Ryan Traver 9th. Timothy Emanuel will start from the 10th position. And Blaine Adams in 11th. And outside of row 6, it's going to be Matthew Karakov.
We continue moving down with John Mankowski out in the inside of row 7, and Dalton Geyer starting alongside him, Colton Easterday, and Eric Kalaga, starting 15th and 16th, while Rodrigo Morales and Zach Panzarella, 17th and 18th, will move down a little bit more with Edward Peltz in 19th, Marty Calvert rounding out your top 20, and Richard Pruitt alongside Dallas Sullivan. That's a surprising driver to be back in 22nd. Philip Beaver, Tom Macy, row 12.
Then you get the last driver to set a time, Zach Austin, with Alan Dice starting from 26. He'll be followed by Dylan Schmidt and Oliver Goff. Robert Goff will be behind him, and Stacy Hunter rounds things out here today. Even with 30 cars, that is going to be plenty to keep everybody busy. If we do manage to get green flag runs here, Dylan, because, well, let's be honest, we're both expecting a few cautions throughout this. I wonder how quickly it'll take before they wind up catching the tail end of the field and getting into that lap traffic.
I think it's going to take maybe a matter of 20 laps for lap traffic to be involved, maybe a little bit more, depending on the speed that we're seeing at the tail end of the field. But I also think we're going to have a lot of issues that drivers are going to have to deal with. I do think that this track, more so than Bristol, because it's so tight, we've got to get on the brakes. There's going to be a lot of bumper cars being played with trucks. So would you call that bumper trucks?
Yeah, I guess he would. And the other thing, too, you mentioned those tight corners and that heavy braking. Will drivers be trying to shift in the corners? Will they be going down a gear to try to get a better launch? Are they going to try and stick with fourth? And also, are they going to be able to hold on to those tires? It's 96 Fahrenheit on the track surface. Got to watch out for those rears, Dylan.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like here with the trucks, it's going to be in fourth gear the entire way. Some drivers might go down to third depending on what they plan to do and how they're all set up to go. But nonetheless, going to be interesting to see the different lines and strategies. You want to plant yourself at the bottom, but there is speed to have up top, especially at different points throughout the run. But we're half a lap away, quarter mile away from going green. 40 minutes at Martinsville Speedway, past the halfway point for the PRL trucks.
Yeah, talked about staying high. Watch for drivers trying to square off that exit. Will it leave them vulnerable midway through the corner if they run it just a little too high? Green flag is being held aloft by Barney, and there it is. Green flag is now out, and Brett Adams leads them away down into the first corner. 2 by 2, they file into there, and looks good to me so far. Not seen any incidents down to the first 2 turns.
So far, so good throughout most of the field. And there's a spin caution. They collect in the mid-pack. Not the hardest of hits, but cars were sideway. And then they, oh my goodness, they wrecked after the fact as well. And they're still getting into a mess. What happened there?
We're going to have to untangle it. You can see now they're carefully taking their time to get around. It starts with Emmanuel, though, in the number 39. I think he gets some help from Ryan Traver. But I did not even see what started this mess here, as they're almost getting lapped by the pace car if they don't get going.
Yeah, it's that's a very good point. You got to be quick right here when you get going after a mess or a wreck, and you don't have much time to repair any damage. So this was a set of pretty much 2 incidents here that we'll see once we do get that replay system up. And here we go. So the first thing happens with Timothy Emmanuel on the outside, and 39 trying to get down, but Ryan Traver just put his nose there. It felt like more of a racing incident. Traver was just barely there, maybe sent it a tiny bit, but Emmanuel tried to shut the door. That's what happens. I didn't see exactly what happened, like you said, with the next part of the incident, the mess on the front stretch, which felt kind of pointless.
Yeah, I was able to go and get a look on my screen, and from what I could tell, Stephen Kirby just spun the tires up a little bit on the exit, and unfortunately, people, despite being a little bit slower at the time, weren't able to get out of the way, and that's why we had that checkup. Looks like we've got Kirby's replay here spooled up, so this is off the corner. Watch the rear of the car.
Oh,
just goes around.
Big hit for the 88, and brakes are being held. Truck's still coming through, trying to get out of the way, and then ends up putting himself into the inside wall. That's a mess.
And the ones that I think that have suffered the most here is Kirby. He's down 18 spots, so he lost a lot of positions there, Dylan. And then I look at Blaine Adams and John Mankowski, 16 and 15 spots lost respectively. That's not the way you want to start a Martinsville race.
Yeah, it's not the way you want to start any race, but especially here, because I don't feel like you're going to have enough time to get back up the order. There's going to be more cautions. You just know it. We didn't even get through one full green flag lap before we put ourselves in the situation where we're under caution. However, it does give us a little bit of time to kind of say, hey, here's how long these cautions are going to take. It wasn't really a quick caution either. You had some cars who did not take the green, so I think that means technically they're laps down. They're not, and the pace car is going to be staying out for a little bit longer. So probably lights are out, so probably you're looking at each caution period being, 3 minutes, 20 seconds, 3.5 minutes, maybe a little bit more?
And in a 40-minute race, that is going to add up quickly if they keep finding themselves get turned around. They made a little more than half a lap last time. Let's see if they can go farther than that to get some green on the board and get a little bit separated so that we can get some laps down. Brett Adams once again in control down on the inside as they exit off of turn 4. Getting ready to give the green. There it is. Green flag is out. Adams gets a pretty good jump. Faircloth around the outside. Can he chop down on Starling and try and solidify that second place? Looks like he's got a good run around the long way.
Oh, we're wrecking. Almost. Nope, bouncing off. That was the 34 of Garrett Austin, who just softly bounced off. We're wrecking in the back anyway.
It's a good catch by Austin for sure, but it was Richard Pruitt in the 24 that eventually brought it out from the mid-pack. And once again, off the corner, Seems like some trucks are just struggling to get the power down. I think he got some help getting turned around once he had started that spin, though.
Yeah, that was all Pruitt, but we'll watch the replay of Garrett Austin almost wrecking it mid-corner, and actually this is the exit at 2. Kind of strained him out, and he says thank you very much for that. Gets going again, very minimal damage. What we have, though, in the back with Richard Pruitt, like you said, Joe, is what brought out the caution, and we'll get that replay right here. Takes the high line in the very non-existent marbles at this point, but just loops it coming around. Big hit to that left rear quarter panel and gets it going again, but goodness, this is going to be a long race if these drivers can't keep it clean.
Yeah, and Robert Goff, unfortunately, was the one that smashed into him there. I think he mostly got away with it because the front doesn't look super damaged, but I can't imagine he gets away completely clean. We're going to see from Robert's perspective, it does happen very quickly, and look, he was already chasing the car. No wonder he could avoid it.
Yeah, and at that point, like, probably he probably was the first at all. I mean, hit to the rubber. That's I mean, let's be honest. It's not the worst. You're at Markville, you're not going extremely fast speed, but it's still a little hurt your overall acceleration and top speed for golf. But it's like I think it was I know it wasn't a soft hit, but a soft enough hit where it's not going to be a huge impact to his race speed.
Yeah, looking at that front right now, I'm not seeing it all that crinkled, so I think he did get away pretty lucky on that one. There's still single file behind the pace car, so we have to carry on here. Only, of all the cars that have been involved in incidents already, only Zach Austin has been down pit lane, and they don't have a spare truck in this series, remember, so he had to take some repairs most likely to get it back out there and handling well enough, as believe they should get the one to go this time by. And already we're almost a quarter way through the race just from these 2 cautions. That gives us a good idea of how long it will take if we keep getting these.
Yeah, and you want to know what's much quicker than every other racetrack we go to, because usually these caution periods are taking at least 4.5 minutes, if not up to 6 if we're at a super speedway. This is a small track, the smallest oval that NASCAR goes to, which means that these caution periods will come in, even if there's more cautions, it's going to take less time to go through each of them. As the pace car heads in right now.
Goes back to Brett Adams. Going to wait for the start zone here on the exit out of turn 4. He's holding it for quite a while. There it is. Green flag is out. Brett Adams once again getting a pretty good start over Faircloth, who is much farther ahead this time. Starling trying to fend off Steve Loving behind him, down through 1 and 2. And they're going to get single file through the first 4 trucks right away. They are done messing around with this one, although it's still plenty of side-by-side action from there on back.
Yeah, still a lot of drivers. One truck going way high, gets back into line. Pretty good. We're wrecking again.
Saw that in the very back. That was Dylan Schmidt in the 92. Once again, I'm noticing that it's the trucks that get up a little bit high, and almost kind of wonder if it's maybe something to do with the differing types of pavement, because they have that concrete there at the bottom. Do you think maybe the differences in grip between the right and left are just what's loosening these trucks up here, Dylan?
I think partially, but at the same time, you think about it this way. Your turning radius has to be a lot sharper coming off a corner where you're aimed more up against the fence, right? You're trying to bring the truck around more. That's putting some more heat in the tires, and that you're going a little bit faster up high to try and keep up with the pack. So all it ends up being is putting more stress on all of your components in the truck, in the car, whatever you'd like to call it. And that leads to a little bit of, I guess, desperation, trying to get back up to speed, which, of course, leads to mistakes. So it's the third wreck that we're seeing in this race. Here's the replay. And, yeah, again, way up high, out of line. Still was in that concrete patch before turning himself around right there. But, man, Dylan Schmidt not representing our Dylans well at Martinsville.
Dylan has not gone electric, unfortunately. He's down in 28th right now in that 92, last on the field. So he's got some work to do to try and make it back up. What's that?
Nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully. I mean, he could stay stationary. It's,
all right, listen.
Yeah, now we're quibbling over semantics. But anyways, man, it's been a bit of a rough start. We've had 3 cautions. Have we completed a first full lap yet?
With all the drivers, no. We have not completed a... Maybe the leaders have completed a full green flag lap, but not all of the drivers have done that. Joe, be careful when you tempt fate, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
I've tempted fate so many times that it just doesn't faze me anymore at this stage.
Fate doesn't faze you.
Gotcha. No, I just kind of call it as it is at this point and let the racing gods do as they may. But interesting to note that Adams and Faircloth have been handling this pretty well on the starts from what we've seen. Got this one pretty well under control. Kind of makes me wonder, and we've seen this in the past, Dylan, is it worth them just staying out as long as possible, not even thinking about the pit stops if we keep this happening?
Absolutely. Even if this was a 40-minute green flag race, you'd have to put in a lot of laps, because if it went green, the entire time through a 40-minute race, you're looking at probably 160-ish, maybe, probably a lot less, actually. Probably 130 green flag laps. I can't do the math right off the top of my head, but 120. How about that? Give or take. At that point, no, you just stay out, right? Like, doesn't really matter about tires. They're going to be worn, but it's not worth going back in. So, especially right now, they're going back to green flag racing here, Joe, and these tires are not worn at all. Yeah,
certainly not. They have not been put through the ringer quite yet. Just a lap on, and then suddenly we go back to yellow flag conditions. I'll get the color right eventually. Hard charge here, though, around the outside. Dennis Faircloth and Nicholas Starling going to go side by side down through 3 and 4. Wonder if they're feeling like they've got to give it a real push now, since we haven't had much green flag racing. They got to try what they can. Faircloth struggling as Starling has got himself up into second almost. Ooh, a little wiggle there from the 80.
Hey, we got a lap of green flag racing in, and we're tempting fate to try and get a second one. But yeah, big dive down the inside, an attempt by Steve Loving to get down the inside of Dennis Faircloth as they come around for their second completed green flag lap 22 on the evening. And you finally see those fast times coming in.
Yeah, now that they've actually been able to get speed up properly here, I think we're getting something representative for that fast lap, which does count for bonus points. Let's not forget. So drivers will need to pay attention to that. As down into turn 1, a little bit of an attempt from Emmanuel, who has done a very good job in what little racing we've had to climb all the way back up to 8th.
That is quite astonishing that he's been able to do that, trying to make a move on the inside of Colton Easterday. And you got to remember, even though this is a wild race, some drivers really trying to make up some lost time to get into this playoff hunt. By the way, Dylan Schmidt has spun, so he's good. He's back driving again, no caution. And man, Dylan, there is nowhere to go but up or staying there.
Yeah, he's kind of taking it literally away up.
Yesterday. Behind.
Speaking of nowhere to go but up, that was the high side of turns 1 and 2 from Easterday. Like you said, lost out to Emmanuel, who grabs that 8th position solidly away. But now there's a big gap to the next group of trucks in front of him as we look a little farther back behind. Still a scrum kind of forming here, side by side down in 1 between Karakov and Gulaga.
Such a big moment for Easterday, who is in as of right now. I believe he would be into that next round. We'll have to keep monitoring it. His biggest competitors in Amacy and Pruitt Pruitt obviously involved earlier in that incident. Tom Macy running a good number of positions back of Easterday. Unless there's a new winner, Easterday right now would be in.
Look at how far away already the leaders have grown over the rest of the field. Emmanuel, we were talking about, he had some ground to make up. 2.3 seconds to Ryan Traver. That's going to be difficult if we stay green like this, but I wouldn't bank on that based on what we've seen so far. As we get a little bit of a move down to the inside by Stephen Kirby, also on his charge back upwards. He's to 17th at this stage.
Not much to bank on in Martinsville. There's barely any banking in the corners. Please laugh at my joke. Please laugh.
As they head into that slight bit of banking as well, down through 1 and 2 once again, a little farther up. Looks like I think we're finally getting that lap traffic being taken over. Dylan Schmidt, who we saw have that spin that caused the caution, and then the second one that went without a caution, has already been passed by the first 4 cars. Now make that 5.
Yeah, he is definitely up at the chopping block. Would be first in line to get back on the lead lap if a caution came out. Right now, at the tail end of the lead lap is Zachary Austin. Richard Pruitt, running 26, is second in line as the caution's out, and I guess Dylan Schmidt is back on the lead lap. Free pass for him. Rodrigo Morales is the driver who went around, and hey, at least we got a little bit of green flag racing.
It's promising signs. There's a 223. I think he got some help on this one. Certainly looked like it as he was coming off the corner. I think a couple trucks may have hit him. Yeah. He got a few goes.
That's 3 hits for Rodrigo Morales right there, and back going again. I wonder if he'll still have some speed in that truck, if not a little bit of damage. Wonder exactly what happened to him, who was behind him and gave him that little bump. He definitely got a huge hit from the 16 car, Marty Calvert. I think he flew in there, honestly, into that corner.
I think he noticed Dalton Geyer in front of him kind of drifted up a little high. Wonder if he checked up a little and wound up causing the cars behind him to go into him. I mean, it's still their responsibility. They're the cars behind, but...
I still think if you've seen this replay, what you don't see with the 16 is Matthew Karakoff in that 00 who gives the second hit right there to Morales. Karakoff is down the inside, so I'm pretty sure Calvert didn't want to get past down the inside, so he just sent it in there, heavy on the brakes, and just a perfect storm.
Yeah, and there's some apologies over the radio just now, so I assume drivers trying to keep their tempers low at this stage. So far, so good. I haven't seen much in the way of people getting a little heated out there, but it's still early, relatively, so this could change if it gets closer to the end. We keep getting these yellows, and there we got another angle of that little bump that turned him around. We reset once again, down to only 21 minutes left on the clock. We're up to lap 35. We'll make that 36 here as they cross the line. So a little shy of your 120 if we had stayed green.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. We're on track for maybe just over half of that number. 4 cautions, not even halfway through this race.
Dylan Schmidt comes in to pit with that lucky dog. Wonder if that'll help him out.
Honestly, a little bit.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Those drivers at the back, you've got nothing to lose. Might as well hop in, take some fresh tires, and see if it will get you anything here. And yeah, he's getting all 4.
It's not going to get you a lot. There's not been many green flag laps, but it's definitely going to give you a little bit of speed in the beginning. As our producer is in our ear talking about pit boards and loving the designs of them. You ever design your own, Joe?
Not the pit board, but I have designed a lot of my own car paints, I will say.
Ooh. Give me a few once we,
They're not that special. I have my two main colors. I just do black with sort of mango orange pinstriping. So.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Flyers colors.
Yeah, there we go. So Brett Adams will once again start things off. This time it's Starling to his outside. Very aggressive and wanting to take that position away from Faircloth. Oh, but he is nowhere to be seen on the start. Look at him get dropped. In fact, the 88 of Witt is going to dive down to the inside of him.
Loving, not happy about that move there. Starling had a horrible start. It seemed like he almost jumped it, but had to pull up and everyone else kind of followed him behind.
Did not work out at all. So now into third place for Mike Witt. Nicely done on his part. You also got Loving just behind Starling. We get another yellow already. And is it Morales again? No, it's looks like Peltz and Morales, actually.
Yeah, this one was an absolute send by the 7, Edward Peltz. And I think he forgot, that brakes are to be used. He actually was going 3 wide. We'll see in the replay here. Just not the best driving standards right now in this race. I'll be quite honest. Here's the replay. And you see some leaning on everyone, almost 4 wide. And then the 7 is getting involved in a little bit of body slamming right there between Key and John Bankowski. And then obviously just kind of sends it. He completely missed his braking marks there.
He did. He really did. And they often will describe this track as kind of racing like a road course in a way. I wonder if, like a road course, he was 3 wide. Maybe he just lost sight of his brake marker.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you've ever been to Martinsville, you'd actually be surprised at, here's a good in-car cam or in-truck cam from behind. Robert Goff's point of view, the 7 just sent it in there. Yeah, so definitely lost that braking point. Martinsville has a little bit of more banking than you would think. Obviously, not that much, and not as much as some other short tracks we're at, but more than you'd expect. It's not completely flat, but you still got to make sure that you're hard on the brakes. The brake pads are going to be screaming for mercy by the end of a 500 lap race here. I don't think we're going to get 500 laps in this race. What about you, Joe?
I think we'll be a little short, if I'm honest. Just a guess, but the brakes, I don't think getting too hard of a workout. Honestly, I was thinking about it when we were looking at the damage of some of the cars. My mind went back to the Dale Jr. method when he got that bodywork damaged at Martinsville once, and it cooled his brakes off because they had torn the fenders off the front, and so it didn't look pretty, but he actually was running a lot quicker than a lot of his competitors because of it.
Sometimes a damaged race car can be an advantage. If maybe there's some bodywork damage in a rear quarter panel, whether it's on the left or right side, bent a certain way, kind of helps with airflow. But it's funny how it works sometimes.
Got to take what you can get, and right now the driver's hoping to get back to green flag racing. In fact, they are so eager for it, they're practically 2 wide, and we haven't even gotten the 1 to go signal yet. They're very practiced in this. They know what's coming.
They do. They absolutely do know what's coming here, and Brett Adams has he not led a lap so far?
No, he's led some laps because we got some green in there. We got a nice long run.
Well, I'm saying more, is he the only person that's led a lap?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. He's absolutely been our only leader so far. Nobody's been able to reach that line before him up to this stage. In these final 16 minutes, he would like to keep it that way. There is the flag held aloft, waiting for the signal. Brett Adams gets on the loud pedal, and ooh, that was a wobble out of Faircloth that time.
Yeah, that was an absolute wobble and a half. Just a little bit uneasy on throttle application, but we all make it through 1 and 2 fine. A little bit of a move on the outside attempting to be made, and again, squirrely They're all trying to get some moves done quickly. They know there's not much time, at least under the green, to make some moves. And we're wrecking again in 1 and 2. Caution is certainly going to come out, right? Yep.
Oh, took a little bit, but yeah, we got there eventually. Almost looked like he could be off the racing line down there. Alan Dice, who was at the very bottom of the track, and Zach Austin spinning up in the high side, kind of put paid to it. I think that eventually is what mainly brought that yellow out. Great job by everybody avoiding the pair of them, though, because they both were perpendicular. Watch this. This could have been a lot worse, I think.
For sure, and that's a big accordion effect right there. Kind of feel for the 5. That absolutely could have been worse. Got Edward Peltz wanted everybody to know that he still remembered his breaking point right there, and got into that truck bed. See another angle watching kind of head on with the 45 machine, Zachary Austin. And this is after, the 5's already spun, and he just loops it on his own. Nice little bump, and gets going again. Kind of almost in a way, you gotta, if you're Alan Dice, you thank Zachary Austin, because that's what brought out the caution.
Yeah, it worked out a lot better for him. So Alan won't have to lose a lap, hopefully at least. I haven't seen him come into the pit, so he should be good there. But I guess for our audience to understand, because I don't think they realize these are pretty heavy trucks here, because it looked maybe a bit silly for him to come in and have that accident afterwards, Dylan. But I can tell you from my time hopping into the trucks, sometimes it's a lot harder to get on the brakes and keep it under control than you'd think.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, you gotta know how to control the truck, specifically in single car moments, right? Like an incident like that for Dice, there's not much you can do. It's an accordion effect. You're getting hit from behind. You got your braking points right. It was just a slow down in front, slow down in behind. Nothing you can do. In a moment where you loop it by yourself on the outside, you gotta learn and know how to utilize the weight of the truck and the transfer, the balance to get it around. So, I know I might be going a little bit hard on some drivers, but you're right. It's a hard truck to control, but come on, man.
Yeah, no, they're supposed to be showing off the talent. You're right, and right now we're just not seeing it. We haven't gotten many chances to see it, and I bet you they're itching just as much to get some green flag racing.
Yeah.
My gauge is always how much chatter is there on the radio, and if there's starting to get to be more and more, that means maybe we've had a few too many cautions.
Yeah, I would say you're absolutely right about that. I think if we get another caution, that's certainly going to be the perspective that we're looking at. Let's take a quick second to talk about this playoff situation, because Garrett Austin, who's had himself a pretty nice race so far, and Colton Easterday, those drivers were 7th and 8th coming into this one, and they are holding pretty strong. No one from behind, Pruitt, Macy, Schmidt, or Robert Goff has really put in much of a performance. So right now, the top 8 are still the top 8.
Well, there's a reason they got there in the first place, and sometimes even if you don't have the luck, you've got the consistency, and I think that's what we're seeing here today as the green flag once again waves for Brett Adams. Faircloth has been a little bit sketchy on the throttle recently. This time looks a lot more smooth, and it's actually well ahead of Starling by the time they get out of the first 2 turns.
Yeah, really good job right there, and I think he knows that it's go time, because they're not going to have many laps under green flag conditions as we see trucks spinning. Caution's out again. Oh man, can you tell my voice is thrilled?
This was Morales again. Now, this time he wasn't the one that started it though, but he did wind up turned around. I'm trying to make out it was a purple truck, I think. Looks like Panzarella in the 247, I think, was kind of the initial trigger.
Yeah, Morales, he's been involved, I think, in 3 issues tonight, but only one of them was really maybe his fault. Obviously, kind of gets involved in here, spun around trying to move away, so can't put anything on him there. But unfortunate. Man, trucks at Martinsville. Haven't seen much green flags.
So we have to talk about something we don't usually have to talk about here in the truck and Grand National Series. They have a limit of 24 incidents, and it's not just a drive-through. It is a DQ. We've seen guys like Morales get involved. Like you said, unfortunately, it seems some of them not his fault. Is he in danger here, even with 10 minutes left?
That is a great question. Usually we have our race control sometimes in to be able to tell us live updates with that. I'd love to know. I think there's definitely a few who are in those problem areas for sure. Absolutely. That's a great point. We don't usually see it, but short tracks tend to bring out the worst in people. So I think we are definitely close for a few of these drivers.
Well, much like Garrett Austin's paint, maybe he'll start to get a little bit afraid out there and worry about those incidents. You scared me as he worries about those incidents. Can you tell? I have really played it up there. Anyways, but we'll see if anybody is truly getting close at this stage. Because if we keep getting the cautions, maybe they won't have enough green flag racing to get close to that. This only being a 40-minute race, unfortunately, there hasn't been many drivers that can try to make those hard charges up the front. Honestly, one of the best is Marty Calvert, who's up 8. He's into 12th. And then you've got, I believe, Stephen Kirby. Or excuse me, no, Kirby's down 11. I was looking at the wrong number there. Robert Goff is up 10. And the number 15 car, he's reached 18th position.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers who have been involved in incidents so far in this race have not had much time to get back up the field, but they've done a decent job of keeping their nose clean for the most part after the fact. I know we talked about Dylan Schmidt going in for tires earlier in this one, but he hasn't really had any time to make up any positions. He's still 26th place right now. 28 drivers in the field, 28 drivers on the lead lap, and we're about to go back to green flag racing for under 30 seconds.
I'd say over. I think we'll get more than a lap here. Green flag is out. Brett Adams streaks away. Faircloth is going to try and close around the outside, but he can't quite find the grip this time through the concrete. He'll slide into second. He'll take a peek down to the inside as we watch the mid-pack here, making sure that they stay all safe, and I don't think they will. Look like some nose-to-tail contact. They'll get through with it, though.
Yeah, they definitely got through. I said 30 seconds, so they have 2 more corners to prove me wrong getting through here, and hey, looks like they've proven me wrong for sure. I love to see it. Brett Adams still leads the way, but went in a little bit deep. Oh yeah, we're wrecking. All right. Over 30 seconds. Under 45.
Hey, it was still over, so I got the call right, but yeah, it wasn't very long for Timothy Emmanuel, who looked like he had a huge tank slapper there into turn 3. He may have had help. I'm going to check and see. No, this was completely on his own, and when that thing whipped back, unfortunately, he may have become our first retirement.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the first retirement here. You sure he didn't have some help? Because it looked like there was a sudden snap into heading to that corner.
If we watch from above, I think we'll see. Because from my perspective on the screen, it didn't look like he actually got touched by anybody by the time that truck was starting to go around. Now watch this.
Oh yeah, he just lost it.
I mean, it is easy to lock them up coming into the corners, but he picked a horrible time to do so, as the car could not be saved, got hit, and then it was nose first into the safer barrier, which wasn't soft enough to keep the engine from expiring. Only 27 out of the 28 now. So we both have found ourselves barely right for short periods of time.
Yes, and barely right is my my specialty when it comes to being correct with that information.
Not technically correct?
Technically correct is the most enjoyable.
It's the best kind of correct, right?
It is the best kind of correct. I try to be it quite often, but it doesn't always come to fruition. But yeah, this has been not a race, to be quite honest with you. It's been a procession, except for a 5 or 6 lap stint, which is quite unfortunate. I think long runs at Martinsville always keeps it entertaining and keeps it interesting. But we've got at most one more caution left in us in this race if we're going to have any more green flag laps. If there's a caution with, I say, under 3.5 minutes to go, this race will probably be over.
I don't know if you want to talk about processions. I remember watching Spa 2021.
I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. We've had some racing out here. I'm trying to stick to the bright side this week.
Look at that intensity.
Yeah, Austin's ready to go, and he's got his VR setup, which has probably not made him at all queasy this time around because, well, it's been a bit of a leisurely pace for most of the race. So let's hope that maybe we can get a little bit more of that car sickness going and get some high speeds around this track with only half a mile to circulate. It should get you theoretically a little bit more sick in the VR, but we still stay under yellow for this lap. I think the one to go signal going to be given this time for Brett Adams. He's been handling this thing extremely well. He started it from the pole. He hasn't stopped leading this race the entire time. We get another of our onboards with Easter Day as well. And Colton's one of our drivers trying to get a little bit safer in the playoffs, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure. He came into this one only 3 to the good versus Richard Pruitt, but in terms of positions against Richard Pruitt, he currently has 14 on him.
And here we go. Another of our restarts. We've had a lot of practice for them. They should be good. Let's see if they can get through the rest of the laps, though. Brett Adams with a great run off the green. Faircloth didn't look so good, though. And he had a big pileup down into turn 1.
Oh, man.
Trying to see who that started with, but it collected a lot of trucks this time.
Wow, that was...
Is that Karakov?
This could have a lot of playoff implications, and it was Garrett Austin, I think, who lost it on the restart, and just chaos all the way into corner number 1. Yeah, Austin just said he spun the tires, so that was a big mess. Started with that. We'll see the replay of the green flag. Yeah, hits the outside wall, gets into multiple other trucks. That is a huge parking lot, and you know what? That's just short track racing. Actually, I'm going to steal what I just heard on the radio. It's short track pacing.
Well played. Well, for Matthew Karakov, I feel for him because he was the one that got into the back of the car that spun its tires, essentially was sandwiched, if you will. Yeah, watch this. Runs into the back of the car in front, gets hit from behind. Nothing he could do in that situation except get turned and then kind of eventually right himself there. And then all those trucks on the outside kind of found themselves blocked in by their competitors who were turned around. That may have been our last yellow flag, though. We've only got about 2 minutes left here.
I think that's it. I can't say quite for certain, but I think that's it. I think it's like a 50-second lap here under pacing. It's actually more like a 42, 43-second lap. So, I mean, at that point where I don't even think I think we're gonna have a drag race to the line with everyone holding their positions like we usually see, Joe.
We've gotten a lot of that this season, curiously. Just somehow it always seems to wind up the case. But a minute 20 left, and what are our pacing laps looking like here? 43? Yeah, it's going to be tight. We might actually finish under yellow and not have it the pace car dive off, but it's going to be tight. Regardless, It's getting very close for the overweight vocalist to emit a loud noise, and we are going to be done with this race, but we have more to come with the Grand National Series after this at the same track. But let's cross our fingers that this was the warm-up that didn't go as well as the later race, which will give us some good action.
Yeah, this is over. We were probably like 10 seconds away from getting a one-lap shootout to the end, but it's over at this point, which is unfortunate. But as Dallas Sullivan says over the radio, couldn't end any other way. Also, I love your phrasing there of the vocalist. That's great.
Well, I'm curious to see how many drivers will be amused after this one. Pace car will come in, but they're going to have to stay in order. They will not be able to get the green, or will they? Final lap? Oh, no. We might actually get a one-lap shootout. Yes, we will. Green flag is out. They're going to give them one lap to do it. And they can't get another yellow from here, so it will finish under green again by technical correctness. And Brett Adams is going to lead them around. As long as he's safe off the corner, he should be good. Starling's not nearly close enough. I think I saw a wreck from behind. It is a win for Brett Adams here today. A few more trucks, unfortunately, finding some more woes at the very end.
What in the world? The time expired. The time expired, and they still went green.
Sometimes I've had experience with this on the road side, but I don't know if I've ever seen this on the oval side. The sim cannot throw the checkers before the white. I think they approached the line just in time that it threw the white because it couldn't throw the checkers yet. So we got the extra lap.
They crossed the line. I'm looking at the total race time.
Yes, but it'll show the white, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, they crossed the line. The race was in total 40 minutes and 28 seconds. They crossed the line. That final lap was 21.6 seconds. You do the math, and they crossed the line at 40 minutes and 7 seconds, so minus 7 seconds. What?
Well, Brett Adams, I think, is putting more miles on these tires than he did in the entire race now with these donuts, as he celebrates that victory. And I think some teammates and friends there celebrating with him, maybe unleashing a little bit of steam after having their frustrations boil up over the course of that one. So there is our finishing results. Brett Adams with the win over Nicholas Starling, and Faircloth finishing in third. So only a change, one up, one down for second and third. Otherwise, it stayed pretty static most of the race. Mike Witt was fourth today with Ryan Traver in fifth position. Then you had Marty Calvert in sixth and Garrett Austin in P7. Colton Easterday up 7 spots there for that 8th place. Also worth mentioning that Calvert was up 14. Steve Loving was 9th, and then Dallas Sullivan wound up 10th out there. Dylan?
I'm going to pretend you didn't just say that. Okay?
Okay, we can pretend.
All right.
It's fun to pretend.
All right, Jimmy. So we continue moving down the field, and you see all these drivers who, I think the one you got to look at, Edward Peltz and Rodrigo Morales, even Matthew Karikoff from 16th to 14th respectively. Great recovery drives to move themselves into the, maybe not the top half of the field unless you're Karikoff or Morales, but they've had a lot of issues in this race, and it was pretty solid for them. Zachary Austin, Dylan Schmidt, they round out the top 20. Look at that fastest lap. Brett Adams, Philip Beaver, Blaine Adams, Stephen Kirby, Tom DeMacy, Robert Goff, John Mankowski, Richard Pruitt, Timothy Emmanuel, Stacey Hunter, and Oliver Goff. They are your 30 drivers who registered for this race. All the drivers from 21st to 30th, 4 of them were the drivers who needed to put in some good results to get into the round of 8. Did not happen now.
It looks like we've got Brett Adams ready to talk to us after that win. So the 23 gets mic'd up and ready to go. I'm very curious to hear his thoughts on this one. Brett, probably not the way anybody wants to win a race, but is this a I'll take it moment for you?
Hey, a win's a win, right, Joe?
Absolutely. And you had that one lap shootout. We heard some of the debate over the radio. We were just as confused. We thought it was over. Did you guys think it was over?
When that last caution came out, just knowing the lap times, I had a feeling we were going to get 1 to green there. But just really appreciate Dennis and everybody else racing clean up front.
That they did. In fact, it looked like on the restarts and what little racing we did see, you guys stayed pretty respectful there at the front.
Yeah, for sure. I think the top 5-10, it was good. My brother, teammate Blaine, was in the back. He said it was the hornet's nest back there.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, I fear. Well, congratulations on the victory, and hopefully we'll get to see you with a few more green flag racing laps in Victory Lane in the future.
That's right, first of many. Hey, if I could just quick shout out to my son Parker's watching the other room, my other son Hudson, and daughter Lennon, my wife who puts up with this every week, and of course to you guys for putting on a great show.
Well, thank you very much. That was Brett Adams, your victor here today. And Dylan, up next, has Nicholas Starling ready to chat with him with his second place.
Yeah, trying to get Nicholas up and mic'd. And Nick, you know, that was a race of sorts. A lot of restarts. You feel like you got some good practice there on restarts?
Yeah, I'm just. It's a shame we didn't meet the quota for Martinsville and NASCAR there, that we didn't crash more cars.
Yeah, you know, it's always a shame. You want to get that quota met. Unfortunately, we didn't, and you still have a clean truck coming from that, finishing in second place. Felt like there were a lot of times you just couldn't necessarily keep up the speed on the outside on restarts, but you tried your best. Do you feel like it would take multiple laps to get a move done?
Yeah, I think so. There was that one run there. I guess we got like, I don't know, 5 to 10 laps where I started to work the outside. I think I got back from 4th to 3rd, and it started to work, but just kept having wrecks and cautions. I just don't know. I mean, at this point, we should have took half the cars to go straight and half the cars go backwards and put on a show for the fans, I guess.
Well, nonetheless, you enter the second half of the season with a second place there, and although some of your other competitors finished right around you, you feel like this is some good vibes to head into the final 4 races of season 4?
Yeah, I hope so. Just kind of the biggest thing with the round of 8 and the championship race. There's a lot of stuff, you know, a lot of points and a lot on the line for the guys who've been racing all year. To finish it out, they go super speedway round of 8 and then super speedway for the championship. So just kind of hope all the guys that have run really well, they, you know, get lucky enough in the round of 8 and then get lucky enough in the championship to put it all together and win the thing. But it's just all about putting on a show for the fans. So we'll just keep on digging and try to stay out of their way.
Appreciate your time, Nicholas. Congrats on second. I know you'd rather be racing a little bit more than you ended up for that win, but hey, finishing second isn't too bad.
That's right. Thank you, guys.
All right, Joe.
It looks like we've also got Dennis Faircloth ready to chat with us, and Dennis certainly had some excitement in that one. And Dennis, we saw a couple times you slipped a little bit backwards. It looked like maybe the rear tires getting a little bit used up there partway through.
Yeah, I was just having a rough time on the restarts, and I'm pretty sure I burned up my rear tires trying to get good restarts, because being on the outside line here, you have the restart rules and you can't be faster than the leader. Well, if you are going the same speed as the leader, you lose a whole truck length before you get to the restart zone. So I'm trying to manage that, and Brett did what he's got to do. I mean, he didn't go at the same spot every time. That's what you got to do. That's part of it. That's how they do it in real life. So he was real good at that, kept me honest, and I was not prepared for a green flag at the end there. I thought it was going to be over, and so when the pace car went off and it was showing a green flag, had to make a last minute mental adjustment there, and kind of drove it in too deep and went high and gave it away to Nick there. But not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping for some argy-bargy there and take advantage of it, but it didn't happen. But I'll take third. I'm especially considering where I've been running. I feel like I survived. I did not expect to finish the race tonight, so getting a good qualifying spot certainly helped with that. So, but yeah, I don't know what it looked like to you guys, but it was. I saw a lot of that pace truck. I noticed pace car. Noticed a lot of things on that I didn't see before. So.
Yeah, we saw a lot of it ourselves, and I'm sure it was equally frustrating being down in the truck throughout. I mean, considering what you said your expectations were, does a third place feel a bit like a win?
Kind of. I mean, I'm not going to be able to race next week because I'm going to be on vacation, and so I was kind of hoping to maybe win tonight. I don't know if I'm still leading the points after tonight or not for the season, but hopefully next week doesn't completely kill me there. But we'll see what happens when I come back at the race after that. I guess Phoenix is next week, and then iRacing Super Speedways after that. So that'll be something different. So we'll see.
Certainly will be exciting times, I'm sure, especially at iRacing Super Speedway. Well, congratulations on a podium tonight.
Thanks so much. You guys have a good night.
That was Dennis Faircloth in the number 80, who managed to find himself at least within those top three. But as we said, we have more racing to come as the Grand National Series is up next here. And we are excited to get to watch them here at Martinsville, hoping that maybe things will be a little bit smoother this time around for this track. Here is where they sit for their championship as well. Phoenix Raceway up next for this series on November 1st after Martinsville is over. I guess this is appropriate because we're right before Halloween, so Martinsville was the scary round, or is the scary round, Dylan?
Yes, and Martinsville is the most, I think, on the unknown list of tracks. You just don't know what's going to happen. If you don't qualify well, you saw what happened in the PRL Truck Series race just moments ago. You're not going to be able to move up positions very easily. Phoenix, short track, sort of. Dover, same length as Phoenix, but race is more like a roller coaster, 1 lane, sometimes 2 lane speedway. Chicagoland, more of your general 1.5 miles with Auto Club. I think being one of the best choices to have as a finale race. Old surface, 2 miles. I'll tell you what, man, I miss that track already.
I don't blame you. It'll be sad to see it go. But let's also talk about the championship points situation. Abner Acosta, a single point ahead of Richard Regan Jr. It is tight up there. Tyler Justice and Nick Silver also in the hunt right now, with Jeff Evans only 2 points behind Nick Silver on top of things. It looks like things have stayed very competitive on the sharp end of the Grand National Series, at least in the driver's hunt. Let's take a look now at the team standings as well, Dylan.
Yeah, take a look here, and it's a really awesome battle. Regan Bogue up just 22 points over Whataback Overdrive Racing. Whataback, just all their teams usually put on a good show, entertaining. They definitely support the series very well. Regan Bogue typically is the team everyone chases, but along with Whataback Overdrive, Phase 2 Chassis Works is putting in a great showing, just 27 points separating them from Regan Bogue, whereas 22 is Whataback. So great fight for the team's championship this year. Outside the podium, though, it's a little bit more, it's closer, but it's also they're farther away from third. So I like it. A fight for who's going to win it all and a fight for who's going to be the best of the rest.
And for the playoffs, this one, interestingly enough, also has a Colton sitting in 8th place. But we have Richard Regan Jr. currently up at the top of that one with his win, sending him through into the next round of races. But it's Semke, Bogue, Westerfield, and Evans that are on the outside looking in at this stage, including a tie between Westerfield and Evans. But they're behind by 25 points, so it's going to take a lot for them to try and claw their way back forward. They're probably going to have to go for broke and get themselves a win, most likely, to try and have some sort of shot at making it into that next round. I believe we're in the midst of the qualifying. We've got a couple minutes left to go. but Nick Silver is leading Abner Acosta. Make that Reese Bogue, actually, who just jumped up into second.
Yeah, and it's big to get the pole. Not only are you not guaranteed to lead a lap, but you've got a really good shot of leading that first opening lap. You also get a bonus point for getting pole position. Pole position gets 2 bonus points. 1 lap led gets another. So you could already be sitting 3 points better at the end of lap 1 if you get the pole and lead that first lap. Obviously, Richard Regan Jr., not one of those drivers who needs that pole position for the playoffs, but in that fight for the Season 4 crown, yeah, not a bad thing to have at all.
Watching Adam Zimke on your screen right now has just started his first flyer. The laps are so short that they've got plenty of time to try and sit and wait and see if they can get slightly cooler conditions to maybe get out there and get a better flyer. In fact, it does look like a lot of the track is in shadow right now, interestingly. 19.71 or 77 for this first lap. That's not going to impress.
Yeah, not going to impress at all. Really needs to put in a better time than that. I'm trying to look through the lineup right now, and do my eyes deceive me? Do we not see Colton Lane at all in this race? You know what that means? That opens up some points, and as long as Zemke gains 11 points, 10 points, he jumps Colton Lane.
So maybe he needs to just try and stay out of trouble because his qualifying didn't improve. He's still in 20th. Joey Tebbin.
Oh man, Joey
absolutely blows it down through 1 and 2.
Joseph. Unbelievable.
Real shame to see him out of that qualifying. There's Nick Hunter in the meantime. He's already taken both of his laps, so that 19.8 will stick. He'll have to start from 23rd at best. I don't think we have anybody else able to set a time. Yeah, it is locked in for the grid here for round 6 of the PRL Grand National Series. And Richard Regan Jr. has managed to take the pole. It's going to be Nick Silver starting in second. Reese Bogue will be P3, and Abner Acosta will be 4th. Tyler Justice starts from 5th. Bradley Hawley, 6th place for him. That's going to be a bit of a rough one, no doubt. Mark Kalin will start in 7th. Then on the outside of that row 4, Dustin Scruggs. After that, Jeff Evans starts 9th today. Top 10 going to be rounded out by Danny Cervantes. Daniel Knight starts 11th, and then the top 12 is finished up by Thomas Sink.
We continue moving down with Ted Lowendick in 13th and John Jones starting alongside him in row 7. Stan Hammonds in 15th in that 55 machine next to Nick Byer. Doug Evans needs a fantastic result from this race. Probably needs to win to advance in the playoffs. Starts 17th, while Nick McLaughlin, with a fantastic picture right there, will start in 18th. On the outside, Joey Tebbin. Of course, we saw that second qualifying lap didn't go as well as he hoped. He's going to be starting in 19th. Adam Zemke, Patrick Cowgill, Jim Westerfield, Nicholas Hunter, Jacob Emery, your top 12 rows. And all of them, by the way, Joe, are the only ones who set a time.
Yep. Sean Powell's going to be gridded up the highest. Fortunately, we won't be able to show them, but Pancari, Dunkelberger, Bajin, Morgan, Gagnon, and Turner round out your 30 cars here today. Okay. Well, they found themselves with a bit of a poor example set for the first one. So we take a look at Brett Pancari, who's all dressed up for Halloween already. And I believe today it's going to be driving Miss Daisy.
Unbelievable. So Brett's changed his camera angle. Usually it's more to his left shoulder from his perspective, and it's kind of looking over that. We see more of his magazine or DVD collection, but we don't see as much of that. We see more of the kind of looking straight at him, and I think he did it for a reason.
Now, you've heard the theory of Daisy in the universe as well. So, you know how Mario has Wario and the M is a W upside down, right?
Indeed.
And Waluigi has the upside down L. Well, Princess Peach, what happens when you turn the P upside down?
Comes
it's a D.
Oh!
So, Is Daisy the evil doppelganger? Who knows? That'll be up for you to decide in the peanut gallery. We'll see what people think about that one.
I don't think either of them are evil, but continue.
Richard Regan Jr. Is going to hope that he will see no evil, obviously, during this race, and that he can stay ahead like we saw
He
with
hopes
Adams.
not to.
Yeah, which, based on what we saw before, if we wind up with a similar situation, he's sitting in a good position. But there's a lot of racing left to go. This is a longer race than what we had before here, Dylan.
Yeah, just a tad longer, 50 minutes, and hopefully it doesn't feel even longer. It might feel a little bit quicker depending on how this race goes. This would be, if we went green the whole way, 20-second lap times. You're looking at probably 150 laps in that case. This hopefully will be fun.
Here we go. They now have given control over to Richard Regan Jr. Looking for the start here. There it is. Green flag is out. He held that one for a long time, and there's a huge checkup on the higher line.
We're wrecking
and
already.
We are indeed. It's a yellow flag.
Oh.
It's a big pileup here on the very first lap. I see numerous cars come to a halt. Wow, it's a blocked track, actually.
And not only that, I mean, there are so many drivers involved here. You got to be kidding me. So, Reese Bogue needed a good race. He put himself in a great position to make up a 16-point deficit to Colton Lane, who is not even in this race, and that's race over for him. That's unbelievable.
And he starts the incident of all things. He spins the tires and gets sideways, and with him starting on row 2, I mean, the results were almost inevitable.
That's unreal. So everyone is... we'll try and see exactly where everyone is gonna to shake out, because we're just kind of dumbfounded right now. Wow.
We hoped for a better race, but I'm not saying that this is a very good sign. Unfortunately, it's not over. It's not over. And these cars ahead of the leader should be able to get their lap back, I think, and get waved around. So watch the 4. Hard to see from that angle, but it definitely gets a little bit squirrely. And I mean, yeah, once that happened, I don't know what else he could have done really in that situation.
Yeah, nothing you really can do. That was, man, I'm just laughing. I didn't think we'd see something worse than what happened in the truck race, and we got it literally 5 seconds into this one, if not less. Oh, man. Well, Joey Tebbin did say full throttle in the turn 1 incoming, and that might have been a little bit of an indicator. Here's another replay of what exactly happened, and just spinning the tires. Look, even in the back they're wrecking. This is what a mess. What a mess.
Yeah, I guess to be fair to Reese, it looks like there would have been a problem even if he hadn't have had his. It just kind of compounded things, unfortunately. But it has put him in pit lane, as you saw. He had to take a tow. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to get out in time, but he could potentially. He is taking repairs as far as we can see, and will do his best to try and get back out there and race. And boy, we have got a few in the modifieds division tonight, apparently.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. Reese Bogue is, even if he finished where he's currently sitting in 28th place, he'd gain 14 points from a 28th place finish because he did take the green flag. That wouldn't even be enough to pass Colton Lane, who's not even taking part in this race. Colton Lane is stuck at 75 points. That is where he will stay. He's currently who everyone else has to pass, and everyone at this point, even if you finish 29th, that's a 14-point gain. I mean, Adam Zemke is now the 8th place car, if you will. Colton Lane will not make it into the round of 8 here, so. And with Reese Bogue being out, that leaves pretty much Jim Westerfield to try and get back a 16-point. Well, I guess now you could say even a bigger point. This is. I thought we had a good playoff battle on our hands until the first corner.
The racing gods are very fickle. Also, I want to give credit to Race Control. They've extended it by a lap because there were so many wave rounds. It would have taken too long for them to get all together and lined up in time, with this only being a half-miler. So great job being on the ball, seeing the situation, and giving the drivers more time to get in a row. Here we go. Now we're actually going to be taking off as Richard Regan Jr. will have control once again. And this time it's going to be Bradley Holly starting from the 4th spot. Let's see if he can avoid the chaos here as the green flag is out, coming down into turn 1. This looks a little bit better. At least we got through the first corner.
Yeah, we got through the first corner with the first bit because most of them were all on one line, having to go single file as we head into 3 and 4. Some more body contact. Richard Regan Jr. leads the first full green flag lap just under 5 minutes into this one, and everyone else gets through relatively okay.
Costa in a side-by-side battle with Silver. He's on the inside there in that pink and white number 5. Ooh, a little bit of help from behind almost for a second. Bradley Holly chucked that car in there.
Yeah, absolutely. He sent it as hard as he could send that car. Holly, obviously one of the most storied drivers in PRL Oval history, trying to make up some positions, gain 2 since the start of this race, right up to the rear bumper of Nick Silver in that 24 machine. Nick is always a great driver and hard to pass. And I said that, and he completely missed his breaking point. That's just great.
Well, at least we're still green, and he's...
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, as Mark Kalin is now up into 4th past him, so nice advantage taken by the number 62. 3 positions up for him and Bradley Holly since the start of this race.
Yeah, and they're wrecking, and that's Ted Lowendick who takes a big hit right there. That's a big mess for the driver who came into this race sitting 7th in the playoff standings. Not going to help him whatsoever. Is that car a little bit wobbly?
Yeah, I'm trying to see, but I did notice that I think this started with Cowgill checking up in front of him. Ted had to also slow up, and Matt Gagnon unfortunately didn't get the memo and kind of turned him around. So I wouldn't put this one on Ted as much.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. Still, though, it is kind of wild that it's the same issues we're seeing in the truck race, right? It's hard to get that car under, on throttle application. It's just really, really difficult. You get this replay right here, and boom, accordion effect, and it's amazing what a lot of wheel spin does on a short track.
Well, I'm glad we got that perspective, though, because that showed why he didn't know that there was a checkup in front of him. You couldn't really see much over that spoiler.
You're absolutely right there. You actually, it is an interesting point that when you're in the cockpit, it's so hard to see exactly what's going on. Kind of one car in front of you, you just can't see. It gives you a bit of an appreciation for the difficulties of just being a race car driver, and Lowendick is down pit road. Yeah,
there's a little bit of a crinkle on both the left front and looked like the right rear of the car, unfortunately. So he's going to find his stall and park it. Surprised his talking about the pit boards earlier that he didn't paint that little weird eyeball creature on it.
Do we need to talk about the eyeball creature a lot?
Did paint? Oh, there it is. Okay, it was hidden. I must not have been able to see that from that camera angle. So there it is. Okay, trying to. I mean, we don't have to talk about it, but it's certainly there, and the drivers I know have been plenty unnerved by it in the past. But that's his own psychological games that he's been using to his advantage, and he's fair to do that as he wants.
Spooky season.
Yeah, very appropriate.
Who?
Didn't scare me this time.
I was ready. Last time, though.
Yeah, I was ready for it.
I'm sure that's what was making you ready for it. Hey, this is the Joe Peak and Dylan Coyle podcast at this point tonight. If you want some good, relaxing conversation while you sip your tea, there you go.
This podcast is brought to you by Skillshare. No.
Not actually.
It is not actually. No.
Brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing and Murad.
Yes, that's what I should have said, probably. Get the sponsors in there. Making a joke there. Here we go. Our producer on the ball there. So there's all of our various sponsors that actually bring you this show.
Unbelievable.
And we are actually double file and ready to get racing once again. Richard Regan Jr. has got control of the fields, but now he's got Abner Acosta to his outside, and it's Bradley Hawley starting in that third position. Those two have been going at it for a long time here in the Grand National Series. Who can come out ahead? We'll find out because the green flag is waving. It looks like Acosta this time getting a much better jump. In fact, look around the outside. Here comes Mark Kalin.
Mark Kalin trying to get some good momentum going. Mark, who has helped us a lot in broadcasts when we've needed some fill-ins before. You know, always like to see some of the fellow broadcasters doing well, and he's holding pretty strong on the outside, up 4 positions in this race as it currently sits. Richard Regan Jr., Abner Acosta 1-2. Are we shocked? No.
Kalen's pushing, though. I think he brushed the wall on the outside of 4. We got a wreck in the back. Car drivers were on the radio immediately to try and call it out, and I do see, I think, Nick Beyer. No, it's, there is Nick Hunter, actually, I believe, involved in it. And there's another car down at the bottom. I think that was the 20 of Jacob Emery.
Oh, boy. That kind of night, huh?
Sometimes you get these. You just gotta roll with the punches. Sometimes they can change, though. They can absolutely change around very quickly. You just never know. So stick with it. What a back car. Unfortunately, I think just getting a little loose after running into the back of the number 48 in front of him on the way into the corner.
Man, that is a mess. 20, I don't think the 20 had some hard hits there. It's unless you're entering the braking zone and then smack a guy, you know, T-bone, anything, you're not going to get too much damage. It's going to keep you uncompetitive at this track, just with how this damage model is. Here's another replay. Just losing it is Nick Hunter in that 109, and then boom, boom. Any other booms? Nope.
No, it doesn't look like it. I think all the shouts of wrecking on the radio got everybody woed up in time. Thank goodness for that. Hunter did have to come in for some repairs, although he's having trouble finding his pit stall, it appears.
Just a little bit. Yeah, he should have painted his pit board.
The theme of the night, apparently, of all things to talk about. He did eventually get there, and he's taking tires, going to hope to not go a lap down. And I think he should be able to get out in time because should be down off the jacks here any second now, and pace car's only coming out of 4, so he'll get back out and be able to stay on the lead lap. Probably going to be the main, I think, goal in this one, I imagine, Dylan. Just keep from going a lap down, stay on the lead lap, and you just don't know what's going to happen. I
mean, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? As Richard Regan Jr., Abner Acosta, 1-2. I don't know if anyone can beat them.
It's the pace car.
Oh, yeah, leader of the race.
If anybody could beat them, it's the pace car.
That's fair.
He's got a lot of laps out here, plenty of experience.
I think he'll get the extra bonus point for most laps led.
Well, you know what he's got going for him. He's very consistent.
He is. Those lap times are so consistent, man.
Just every single time nails them. Very, very good at that iRacing sedan.
Smooth into the corner.
Yes, and the lights are off, so he'll leave them for the time being. Let's hope that we don't see him anymore and Regan can get back to leading this race.
He did this apex there, I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's getting a little sloppy now. But Kalen's going to be starting from that third position. Holly got pushed back. Did he learn anything from Mark from that one? Is he going to try and pull the same move back on him? And what is Abner Acosta going to be doing from that P2 once again? Last time he got a pretty good jump, was able to pull himself down into that bottom side before he could lose it. Here we go. Green flag is out. This time he doesn't get a good jump. Here comes Mark Kalin up the inside.
Ooh, that's a horrible jump right there, and it's going to back up everybody else in the field. Lots of drivers way up high, up against the wall. That was Brett Punkari. And then there's some leaning, some body work, some body checking happening for second place. Mark Kalin still on the inside. Abner Acosta holding strong on the outside. Kalin went up, lost it a little bit. Acosta gave him some space, a quick little tap, and there you go. Mark Kalin back on the outside. Acosta, he's free to try and get away on the inside, now has all lanes to work with. Oh, big hit!
Oh, there was. Smashed the outside wall, did the number 62, and actually caught out, I think, Nick Silver, who avoided a worse incident in that, but he's now losing places, and what a brilliant move that was by Abner Acosta for that over-under. He timed it absolutely perfectly. Well, Jurassic Park is scary in the dark, according to Weird Al, and it looks like Kalin might be scared as we get a yellow that might save him. Cowgill is sideways with a number of other cars.
Huge mess going on in the back of the field. Ted Lowendick involved once again. I mean, he came in needing a pretty decent result to stay within good, standing in this championship fight for the round of 8, and so far, not so good for him. And it wasn't even his fault. He was just kind of late coming in, but what a mess.
Yeah, I mean, the first one wasn't his fault either, getting turned around by the car behind. This time, Ted's probably not going to be able to return it to the track. Watch this, stick with it, and boom, just nails the front end of Cowgill.
Yeah, I think Matt Gagnon was the one who gave a big shove in that 14 machine to the car, who was a lap down. It's probably going to be out of the race now. But what's that, three cautions? Maybe 4?
I have not been counting, if I'm honest. I've just been going with the flow, staying in the moment. And one thing I will say is different, though, about this one compared to what we had before. Reese Bogue, John Jones, Tyler Justice, already out of this race. Lowendick probably amongst those as well. And Doug Evans has been in for a little bit now, so I wonder if he's out of it. Looks like maybe Cowgill had a little help getting turned around, though, in the process. But we're seeing a higher attrition rate. I wonder if that will start to clean it up a bit more towards the end of the race.
Probably for sure. We entered this race with 31 cars registered for it. And immediately lost a few. Only 19 cars, probably less than that now, on the lead lap. I'd expect the cleanliness of on-track action to start to rear its head in a positive way. Only 12 cars have not pitted at this point, and goodness me, Joe, this is What is this segment of the podcast called?
This is the weekly update that nobody listens to, that, this is a part that everybody skips forward because they want to get to the exciting stuff. So everybody slows down for yet another moment, but hopefully we'll start back into the action, and the True Crime podcast will show us all kinds of blood and gore out there, on track.
We've seen a lot of blood and gore.
Yes, we have.
And the previous one.
32 minutes left. We're not even to the halfway point, actually. So,
oh boy,
there's a lot to go. And again, I'm trying to stay optimistic here. I still assert that things could change in this race. We could see a very big change in the way that it starts to unfold in front of us here, as the 19 we just saw take a pit stop as well. So Brett Punkari is trying his best to get himself a good advantage. I wouldn't be too surprised if we had a number of cars that weren't just getting the damage repaired, but also trying to take some fresh tires and see if they can get any edge over their competitors. And he is eventually going to get into position here, as it looks like they're being kind of moved around by race control. But I think we are good to go now. And Richard Regan Jr.'s number 56 is left by the pace car. Acosta last time had trouble getting into that second place. He got it back eventually. What's it going to be here on restart for lap 34? Green flag is out. And once again, he has trouble getting it going. This time, it's going to be Bradley Hawley down to his inside instead.
Yeah, They're still racing clean. These are two drivers right here, Holly and Acosta, who know how to race hard, know how to race fair. They lean on each other a little bit right there, but they keep it clean. That's good, hard, short track racing. Nothing wrong with leaning a bit on the inside. Now, a little bit of a pinch from Abner Acosta, trying to keep away Holly's momentum as he exits the corner. Did a great job, a masterful job right there, and they all single out all the way back to P5.
Yeah, that's Silver fighting for sixth behind them with Dustin Scruggs. He's going to be able to get that. Scruggs gets shuffled to the outside line, is behind them. Another one of those checkups, this time Daniel Knight, but thankfully doesn't turn any of the cars. We go pretty much single file through the field now.
Yeah, single file for what feels like the first time in this race with most of these drivers. You see a potential move coming here. Shooting it down the inside is Daniel Knight. Knight came into this race at plus 11, and with the loss, I guess you could say, of Colton Lane, you could pretty much say it's almost plus 21, so just needs to keep it clean. There's not many more spots you can fall in this race.
More side-by-side in behind them. Oh, actually, Daniel Knight just went wide as well. And I think that is the 35 with McLaughlin in the 37 down below him. Looks like McLaughlin will get that lucky number 13th spot.
Every time I say something positive about a driver, they just forget to brake going into a corner. I'm just saying it.
17 back on it now. Oh, he clips the wall. We almost go 3 wide, but I think the 06 of Tebben gave a second thought about it. Now he's able to get that side-by-side with Knight. Going to out-drag him if he can down the main straight, but no dice. He starts to fall back. How deep does he go? Just deep enough, and he's given space by the 17.
Oh, man, how about this good fight right here between Tebben and Knight. Tebben up 9 spots, a little bit harder into the corner. Is going to have a good exit right here, but the 17 does a masterful job of getting back to the throttle. Great fight, great defense. Okay. I
think Daniel's just, he's lost something in those tires. I wouldn't blame yourself too much. I think he's done something to the car. That's twice now he's just blown through his braking zone into turn 1. He's going to have to deal with the 57 of Zemke.
Zemke doing a good job of his own to put himself in a spot where he is probably sitting pretty confidently and comfortably in the playoffs right now because of Lane's absence from the race. But Zemke down the inside cannot quite get there, and once again, good job from Knight.
Okay, he recovered, and the 57 is going to have to give way back into 12th. We go back to mostly single file once more, is what you typically see, at least when you get some green flag racing here at Martinsville Speedway. But Richard Regan Jr., not only a single file, he's on his lonesome. Look at that, 1.1 seconds ahead.
Yeah, that is not unexpected, to be quite honest with you, with Richard Regan Jr. Abner Acosta himself is pretty much a second ahead of Bradley Holly in third place, and then everybody else a little bit closer than those gaps. It's not a surprise, right? Richard Regan Jr., it's about consistency. Same with Abner Acosta. These two are always right next to each other. And in fact, I mean, they're both into the round of 8 and probably will be in the championship 4 once the green flag is taken next weekend. So kind of wild, you know, their dominance over the whole year in PRL competition each season. It's pretty much those two.
But Regan is still third on the all-time list of wins. That's out of every single series. What's I think is most significant here, though, is that Regan has a road win like Holly does, but it's 1 to Holly's 17 that he has racked up. So I think that is one measure in which Holly absolutely has the edge over Richard Regan Jr., even though he has more wins on Sunday night. But as they carry on here, we're starting to get a little bit more of a green flag run. We're starting to get a fight for third position between Holly and Cervantes.
Yeah, great battling right here. Holly, Cervantes, Kalen, Silver. These 4 drivers fill out 3rd through 6th and they're following each other very closely right now. A tail around the dogs that are the dogs of this race, Regan and Acosta. Or like the goats, I should say. Is Holly the goat?
Well, currently, yeah, because he winningest driver of all time. I have to check and see if our stuff has most championships, because I don't know if you'd name it by most wins or most championships, but I'm guessing you might have both of those, honestly. Watch at the tail end of this group, though. You'll see little flashes of the 24 of Nick Silver. Remember how much trouble he had at the start of the race? I mean, it seems like he's gotten a handle on it, but he's still stuck 4 down from where he began.
Yeah, he truly is. Caution's out, by the way. Big wreck in turn 2, so we're gonna... No, it was Joey Tebbin from 9th. He just lost it on his own.
Good news is he didn't hit the wall hard, just tapped between 1 and 2.
Lost his rear bumper.
Yeah. Well, I mean, lost the rear on the way in, honestly. It broke away from him. You're going to see it right here as he gets on the binders. And, I mean, he knew it immediately. It was starting to oversteer it just as soon as he turned in.
Surprised that was a yellow, honestly.
I mean, good luck for Joey, bad luck for everybody else. Here we go. We got pit stops for pretty much everybody at the front of the field.
That's an interesting choice. Thomas Sink, is he the only one who stayed out? And Jim Westerfield staying out, and Brett Pancari. So those are the drivers on the lead lap that have stayed out. Westerfield's a very interesting situation because of the championship. He pretty much needs a win or an incredibly good result while everybody else struggles. So, hey, a win and you're into the round of 8. First one out of the pits. It's going to be Richard Regan Jr. Abner Acosta is so close to getting it done. Bradley Holly 3rd, Danny Cervantes 4th. Not much change through that pit cycle except the cars who stayed out.
Now, of those that did stay out, Sink has not pitted at all, but Westerfield has 31 lap old tires. Looks like Pancari has changed his mind and he's actually down pit lane now. So it's down to 2, but I don't... Man, I'm crossing fingers that we don't get another yellow and that we can stay green. But with Thomas Sink having tires that are this old, and one of the difficulties on restarts here is spinning up the tires, this is smelling like a recipe for disaster.
Little bit. I feel like Jim might think, you know what, I got to win this race, right? And throw everything at the kitchen sink. That's what Thomas
think everything sink. But the kitchen sink is
that's what I meant. But I was thinking Thomas Sink. I thought ahead a little bit too soon. You saw where I was going with that.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, you know. Sometimes the mind thinks a little bit too quickly for its own good. But nonetheless, it is an interesting decision. I feel like what's going to hurt Jim the most here is having to start on the outside with those old tires. Because immediately, unless he gets a really solid start, Richard Regan Jr. is going to be on the inside pushing Thomas Sink. And once you have Regan to the inside of you with 30-plus older tires, lap older tires, it's pretty much show over at that point, you know?
Yeah, I mean, him being in 3rd position is, I think, the death knell for this call. It's not going to take much time. As long as he doesn't get caught up in something, if Sink has an issue on this restart, which is a realistic possibility, he's got to keep his wits about him. So we'll see what happens, but this could be a defining moment here for this race. 22 minutes left to go, and it's getting close to 6 p.m. virtual standard time. You can see how low the sun has been getting in this race. And there goes the pace car. Thomas Sink up at the front. He's going to have to be so gentle on the throttle in that number 48 car. Here we go. Green flag is out. Does pretty good, actually. The 53 or 35 of Westerfield losing out naturally, you'd expect, to Richard Regan Jr.
Oh boy, yeah, Westerfield way up the track. They're going 3 wide. We got to fight for the lead. Thomas Sink on the outside. Less of a fight, more of a mauling, I'd say, at this point. Easily getting the job done was Richard Regan Jr., and it will be followed by Abner Acosta completing the move. Everybody else still trying to shuffle it 3 wide. Not going to work for any of these guys.
I can't blame Westerfield too much. He had to roll the dice. He had to do something. Unfortunately, he came up snake eyes on this one. but he's still got plenty of race left. Something could change on him. You can, wow. I mean, it almost looks like he's trying to stay out of the way at this stage.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. And look at the difference. Remember, we were talking about him starting on the outside. As a caution comes out, who was it with?
Pancari and Morgan, it looks like here.
Yeah, it looked like the 55 of Stan Hammonds just totally overshot the corner. But actually, that's a lie. The 12 of James Morgan lost it on entry. We'll see it in the replay coming on. I was going to say it, but Sink starting on the inside and in first helped him only lose 2 positions on those older tires. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, the 55 did overshoot a little bit. It almost seems like 2 incidents kind of came together because the 12 was already loose, like you said. But I think if the 55 had braked just a little bit earlier, we maybe would have avoided him sending that 12 completely around.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. So let's think about this for a second. And I brought it up a few times. Starting on the outside was going to be a death blow for Jim Westerfield's roll of dice. It certainly was. He started restarted second, back to 13th in just a handful of laps. Thomas Sink, who is on now 61 lap old tires, 30 lap older tires, started on the inside, albeit from first, but still on the inside. It was only passed by 2 drivers. So crazy how that works out, right?
Yeah. Well, we've got a moment here during this caution. I was kind of looking at Brett Pancari's race suit before. Now, I mean, this makes sense. He's got Princess Daisy on there. But I want to say I'm a little disappointed, Brett, because you had the perfect opportunity to paint the suit like Princess Daisy's dress as well.
I couldn't tell you. It looks more like candy corn.
It does, which is also appropriate. So I mean, that begs the question: Are you the pro or anti candy corn camp?
Oh, I haven't had candy corn since I was 5 because I remember it tasting like wax.
Such a shame.
Hey,
a heretic.
My opinion could be swayed, but on my recent health kick, incoming Halloween moments will not work out well. There he is. There is Brett Pancari right now.
Yeah, see, I mean, look, he's even got an example to go by here. He could have painted it just like it.
I hope Brett knows how much we talk about him in these broadcasts.
I hope he knows how much we appreciate what he does.
We do, and oh man, I thought he was pointing to us, saying like, "Yeah, I know." Could you imagine some of these drivers listening to the broadcast during the race? I used to, when I did in-race reporting while racing, I'd have the broadcast in my ear. I have the car sounds and the in-race radio chatter in my ears, and it was a lot. But whenever I was being talked about, I always knew I had to put on a good show.
I've known plenty of drivers that have the race on and will listen, but I cannot grasp how they can focus on racing well enough and also having that in the background. I just would not be able to really get the best results. Yeah. Here we go. Green flag coming out for Richard Regan Jr. this time from the top spot. He's not going to lead every lap, but I don't think he's too worried about that one. He is going to get a good jump off of both Acosta and Sink. What can Sink do here? Still on the same tires he started this race on.
As long as you plant yourself on the inside, you give yourself a pretty good shot at staying there as long as you possibly can. I'm really impressed. He's doing a good job, but slips up just a tiny bit. He's not going to have that traction coming out of a corner. So far, so good. Leaned up, though. Keeps that momentum going ever so slightly, just enough to keep Mark Kalin in that 62 behind. If you're on the inside, oh, there's a slip up. If you're on the inside like Kalin is, you're just saying, please let me get to the outside. Let me get away from this guy.
Indeed, and the 17 isn't aware of the situation, I think, because he's now gone to the bottom, hoping it'll give him some spots. What will happen to Thomas Sink? Will he fall down the drain? Will he be able to hold on and stay afloat? He's working hard, and he is trying his best and actually successfully rebuffing Kalin for now.
Wow. trying to think of a pun with garbage dispensers or something like that, because sink, drain. He's doing a great job. Just
He
ignore
really is.
baffling. Oh, the 17 is pushed by the 06 of Tebben, and that's a huge mess. Daniel Knight, that might have just taken him out of the playoffs.
Wow,
Oh no.
another just smash into the wall. He got, I think, a little bit of help from behind, and he overcorrected. The car went around. Good night. Nick McLaughlin, looks like Adam Zemke and Joey Tebben again also becoming involved.
Oh boy, that was quite the mess. We'll see how much damage is to Daniel Knight. Here is from his bumper cam, and Tebben kind of was there, you know. He kind of was. He sent it in a little bit. I think that was a combination of some aggression from Tebben, and you know, I think Daniel Knight just didn't want to open the door too much, and he tried to slam it a bit too late. Here's another replay.
No, I think that was way too
A little too late.
Yeah, I think that one's more on Tebben there. Weirdly, he actually got returned to 8th place, even though there you kind of saw a glance of him stopped on the inside after the accident, because he wound up spinning as well, along with a couple cars behind him. But for some reason, the sim has decided he should be repositioned into P8. Here we go.
That's not how it should be. Yeah, Tebben is involved in the incident, and he stops, and it's where you get back going. He certainly did not get back going in 8th position, so that's Joey T catching a break right there.
A big break, although I don't think he's made very good friends with Knight out of that one. We'll see if there's any post-race discussions based on that move, because certainly it gave us pause. Took us a second to really come to an opinion, although it seems we both are on the same side of a strong one on this one. But I wonder what Joey will think as he gets going and is trying to make the best of this race. Let's watch from Punkari's perspective. Sounds like he has a good escape here.
Yeah, he certainly got red shelled from behind and tried to just, you know, break. He literally...
He hopped the curb. Now,
What?
Okay, question, and I'd love to know this. Hopefully we'll get to ask him at some point. I wonder if he intentionally put it there so that those coming in behind didn't rear end him.
I mean, that's a smart move.
It is. That's very clever.
Man, that is unbelievable. That seems to be the case. That's pretty awesome, actually.
I'm gonna file that one away because that's a very smart move. Yeah. Well, Richard Regan Jr. is going to try to be just as clever here. He's going to restart it once again. Now 12 minutes left on the clock. Acosta been wanting to get that lead away, but he hasn't had good opportunities. Green flag is out. He gets a pretty good jump. He's going to hold on to that P2. Danny Cervantes, though, going to try and pass Bradley Hawley and do it the long way around.
Yeah, he's trying to do it right here, and that would be quite impressive if Cervantes is able to get the move done. So bottom lane heavy, got a little bit of a hip check there from Bradley Hawley, and it's just so hard to make a pass on the outside if you've got the same lap old tires. It's almost impossible, to be honest. You need the guy on the inside to slip up. You got to pinch him perfectly. Kind of why short track racing, especially at Martinsville, brings out all the anger that people have built up over the course of the year.
Kalen tried to get in there, and well, he's going to be stopped because Westerfield is slowed down, and it looks like Jacob Emery facing the wrong way. And Pancari has also come to a halt again, but he has not hit anything. He's waiting very patiently, though.
Well, it was it was Westerfield and Turner who got into it initially. Maybe a little bit of help from behind with the 109 of Nick Hunter. once again.
Yeah, Waylon.
Just another mess.
Waylon living up to his last name a little bit, sadly, on this one, kind of tipping him around and costing him. But it does look like it was a relatively small incident. Didn't see a whole lot of smashing and bashing. Yeah, there you go. Right into the 35.
Well, nonetheless, it's another caution period and another chance to talk about stuff that is not relating to green flag racing. Yeah, 20 just gets hit from behind. Not much everyone can do there. It's so difficult to get it back going, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot more chatter once again. I said earlier, when you start hearing a lot more talk on the radio, that's when maybe the tempers are starting to boil over and we've had too many yellows. Did he start to lose a little control? Is that why he came to a halt there?
You know, yeah, I think it was he just wants to finish this race. Maybe he's on a remember we were talking about the DQ limit with 24X being
oh yeah
limit. I wonder if Pancari, who is in the pits right now, I wonder if he's close to that.
That could be. I forgot to check and see what the count was at the end of last race. We had to come on over here so quickly with it going an extra lap over there. So I'll have to maybe get some word from others maybe later on to see what the final tally was for some of our drivers. I can
tell you right now, actually.
Oh, okay.
We had some who hit that 24X limit. Richard Pruitt, John Mankowski got the boot. Some that were at 20, similar with Blaine Adams, Philip Beaver. A lot who were at 16X. The highest finishing of the 16X gang was Jake Mackey and Eric Kalaga. Matthew Karikoff, Rodrigo Morales, Edward Peltz, Alan Dice. Goodness me, Stephen Kirby. So many drivers. Robert Goff also had a 24X.
Here's the question. Did anybody have 0?
Yes, the top 3 finishers
there you
were
go.
The only ones to have 0 from that race.
Makes complete sense. We've lost Bogue, Jones, Justice, Cowgill, and Knights, and it looks like Lowendick and Evans unlikely to return after 26 minutes of repairs. Hearing from some people, one of those retirees, Patrick Gill, might be heading to the trucks next season. Yeah. A bit of a demotion, apparently. Here we go. We're going to restart once more. Richard Regan Jr. has been leading for a good chunk of this thing. Just needs to make 8 more minutes. But will it be 8 minutes of green, or will we get another yellow? Here goes the green flag. Holly's going to get a nose in on Acosta. If he can just keep to that bottom side. We've seen these two racing very close and pinching one another off, but he's given plenty of space this time by Abner.
Yeah, given a ton of space right there. Everyone trying to get their spot at the bottom. A lot of the top few drivers missed their marks completely, did not stay sealed to that red and white curbing, that apex at Martinsville. Kaling gets a little bit into the side of Danny Cervantes. Cervantes has been 4th best in this race for most of the time, but knocking on the door of a podium finish. Caution is out. Unbelievable.
Nick Byer, I think, in the 15.
10 laps down.
He's spun it on his own, too. Didn't hit anything, didn't hit anybody, just came to a halt, unfortunately. And that was enough to bring out the yellow. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of frustration on that one. But as I was watching that, I noticed that Silver was starting to get on the move. He was trying to make some attacks there on cars ahead. There is the 15 losing it coming off the corner.
Yeah, that's oh boy, I guess everything here at this track is racing surface, but it's kind of hard to get excited about each restart considering that you got guys who are looping it that are 10 laps down right now. So, quick to the caution. If this is a NASCAR race, you know for sure they'll keep that caution, furled out.
Well, they have been going so slow.
What is that?
And I love this.
What is that?
We've got someone has
Probably Holly.
a special setup. Oh yeah, that is Holly. So that it'll let him know when there is a caution, just like it would in your actual car. You usually have that light to let you know in case your spotter isn't coming through.
You think he knows it's a caution? You think he's had that in his eyes for a combined 30 minutes in this one?
He's sitting. He's sitting in traffic with the car ahead with their hazards on. Essentially, this has got to be very annoying, I'm sure. But I mean, he's been in this a long time, so he knows the deal. Although he is on the radio right now and sounding a little bit irritated.
I think he said 46 laps so far of caution. So.
Abner Acosta says, "First time, I'm glad it's timed."
he got tired of it. He said, "I don't want to see this flashing light anymore." Took it off. Everyone is irritated after what this race has given. We probably have, depending on when the caution flies. I mean, hey, apparently you can still get another lap even with 8 seconds left, or 8 seconds past the the time limit. So who knows if we still have time for another caution, maybe right off the jump. We probably have time for a caution to come out on the first lap, but I really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, especially now that we've got 4 minutes left to go. Once we get restarted, it's going to be too late to actually get that one lap shootout this time. Pretty sure that this will take it fully to the end if we get another yellow, even if it's right away. So this time, if you want any positions, you're probably going to have to take it quickly, because no doubt we are under threat from another yellow the way that it has been going. And you can't risk it here. You got to try and make your move. Even if we do go green, it's precious few laps left. Here we go. One more time. Green flag is out. And Richard Regan Jr. has Abner Acosta get immediately behind him. Very good start from the 5.
That was a little bit of an aggressive restart from Abner Acosta. I wonder if he moved into that line a little bit too quickly. In behind, in third place, is Bradley Holly and Mark Kalin. Oh, we got another freaking
That's going to end it. I see. Is that Westerfield again? It is Jim Westerfield. He is not DQ'd out, but he didn't cause this one. I think the 66 is the initial car to get turned around. Dominic Bajin. He may have gone in a little hot and was trying to woe the car up and couldn't keep it pointed forward. Looks like
all
that
I'm
30.
saying is be careful when you wish for it.
Well, yeah, there it is right there. Just slides through, comes back down to the racing line. Was trying to lock it down, but he was right in the way. 35 sat there for quite some time. I wonder if he was feeling a little bit miffed about that. Especially with the restart. He was back onto the lead lap, had a chance to maybe make a few positions up, but no dice. And the leader already been picked up by the pace car with 2.5 minutes left to go. We can't call it official yet, but I'm pretty sure that by all standards, we can say that it's done.
Yeah. What time exactly did we go to a caution there?
I think it was just before we hit the 3-minute mark, I want to say. Or thereabouts. But even that is not going to be close enough.
It might. We came to the exact same, almost to the second, the exact same, I don't know if it's the same place on track, but with 3 minutes and 25 seconds left in both this race and the Truck Series race, we got a caution. So, obviously, depends where everyone is on track, right? So, we might have a little bit less time than before, but we're crossing the line with 1:22 left. I'm going to look back at... I'm going to look back. There still is a chance.
Yeah, we'll have to watch carefully. I too am kind of keeping my eye on things, and we saw 44 seconds, I suppose. Too bad we don't get lap times on the pace car, because that would give us exact, I suppose.
We might get one more lap, man, because of the weird timing system. Because when we crossed the line with those trucks, there was 1:18 left.
Okay, well, here we go. It's going to be...
If the lights go out here, the system's going to bug again.
There was 39 seconds left. Lights are out. Now...
It's not going to be a drag race. I think we're going to see the same thing happen.
Mark Kalin was on the radio to try to let them know what to do if they do not restart here, but it does look like you might be right that we're going to get another run here. It was so tight to the finish, and Regan Jr. is going to try and warm up his tires a little bit here to get ready. They come around the final corner. Will we get the green? He's holding it aloft. No white flag yet. There is 0. Final lap. One more to go.
Wow.
Great start from Richard Regan Jr. twice in one night, and it's a battle to the finish.
Silver's wrecking.
Oh, no. All the way to the end, and he couldn't quite hold on to it. Meanwhile, Acosta has Holly down to his inside. It's a battle for P2. Regan is going to scamper away from the pair of them and take the win here at Martinsville. Acosta gets across the line just inches ahead of Bradley Holly.
Silver lost around 11 or 10 spots on that extra lap. We took the green with 3 seconds past the time. I've never seen that. Both races, the truck and Grand National race, went 1 extra lap past the limit. That's a yikes for me.
Certainly an unusual one. Who would have thought? And Richard Regan Jr. just probably happy that he didn't lose that lead there on that final restart. He was on his toes, and he was just basically on it from the gun and took off running. He's going to celebrate with some donuts with a great victory here, and is hogging those wins, I guess you could say, Dylan, because remember, he is already through into the next playoff round.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was concerned, though, with Richard Regan making it. Even if he missed a couple races, honestly, through this round. But how about this? This is
impressive.
This is a Polish victory lap with a burnout at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know that I've ever seen someone do that.
That's an engine that said goodbye.
Somewhere. Yeah, someone's blew up. I heard it too. Somehow Regan's is not expiring, despite what he's putting through it. We're all kind of amazed and just spellbound by this. I've never seen someone do a burnout for an entire half-mile lap around a circuit.
He's almost there. He's got around less than a quarter mile to go. This is quite impressive. Can he do it? Come on, man. You can do it.
He's just about there. Oh, it's getting away from him. Getting away from him.
He's got it. He's got it. He's got it. Oh, it's straining out a bit too much.
Wow, a half mile all the way around. Richard Regan Jr. really celebrating in style on this one. So let's go through the results while he finishes there and heads up to our booth in a moment. Richard Regan Jr. victor over Abner Acosta, with Bradley Holly finishing third, sounding slightly irked over the radio. Mark Kalin was fourth, and Danny Cervantes P5. It was Thomas Sink who finished sixth, and Dustin Scruggs in seventh. Adam Zemke didn't qualify well, but he gained 12 spots to finish eighth. Joey Tebben was P9 in the end after all of that, as Matt Gagnon was in 10th. Then you get to Waylon Turner in 11th, Jacob Emery in the 12th position, followed by Nick McLaughlin in 13th. James Morgan was a P14. Stan Hammonds didn't really see much of him, but he got 15th. Saw plenty of Jim Westerfield, maybe not for the right reasons sometimes, but he still got 16th and was actually up 6 spots from where he started. Silver, all the way down at the very end from 2nd to 17th, his start to finish, as Nick Hunter was 18th and Brett Poncari did finish this race last on the lead lap in 19th. From there on down, you had cars either a lap down or more, or retired from this race, unfortunately. But sad to see that, especially those who were taken out early on attrition for this race of our 31 starters. Actually, don't see our winner here yet, so why don't we pull in Abner Acosta in the meantime, the driver of the number 5, who finished in second place here today, just behind Richard Regan Jr. Abner, congratulations on a podium day, but I'm sure it must have been a bit frustrating starting from that second position. Was there kind of nothing you could do to try and jump Richard?
I think in the restart before the last one, I think I had a very good chance. I would have had to bump him, but I also didn't want to do that. So that would have been my only chance, to be honest. But yeah, once you start on the outside, you actually have to like either get a perfect restart or you're just fighting for second every time. And you know, Richard was fast anyway. I mean, we did have a pretty long run at some point there, or at least what we consider a long run. And I was kind of catching him a little bit, but I don't know that I would have had anything for him anyway, so I don't know.
Now, we had a very unusual situation at the end with the one-lap shootout, with the timer actually expiring before you guys got to the line. Did you see the truck race and see it happen to them, and were you aware that that was a possibility?
No, I did not see the truck race, and it kind of threw me off because I saw the white flag, and I was kind of just... like, it just kind of threw me off with as far as like when the restart would be called or not. So like I almost got passed by Brad, but I thought it was gonna be over. So it definitely caught me off guard. But I was able to hold second spot, so it was good enough.
It all works out in the end. Speaking of holding that second spot, you and Bradley Holly, that was some close fighting out there at times.
Yeah, I mean, I think me and Bradley, by now, I mean, we've raced so many seasons together, we're kind of used to each other and our aggressiveness. So, I mean, I do feel comfortable with him, and I'm sure he may say the same thing for me, or maybe not. Yeah, we do race pretty hard, but it was clean.
It looked clean from our perspective, but definitely showed off a lot of you guys' talent. Congratulations on the second place, and hopefully we'll get to see you at Phoenix.
All right, guys, have a good night.
Abner Acosta there in P2. Behind our winner, Richard Regan Jr., Dylan has caught up with him.
Yeah, talking with Richard right now. And Richard, I'm sure that was an exhilarating race for you, and probably a restart practice session. Do you feel like maybe you improved a little bit, if that was possible, in restarts after this one?
I don't think so. It was definitely fun when we had that little bit of a run there. Martinsville is my favorite track. I just wish we could get some green flag racing going on here, but I get it. It's a lot of cars in a tight track, and with the new damage model, if you barely tap somebody, they're spinning. So that probably didn't help the race's case this week. And yeah, I mean, I love Martinsville, but wish we could get some more green flag laps in there.
Nonetheless, it seems like you and Abner just are not going to separate at all from each other this year. Do you feel like both in the full season playoffs as well as the season 4 championship, it's going to take one of you guys slipping up, maybe even just 2-3 positions in one race to kind of separate you guys when we get to that championship race in Auto Club?
I'm not sure. I haven't used my drop week yet in the season championship, and in terms of the playoff, it could be either one of us slips up or one of us out-strategizes the other. Last time we went to Auto Club, I pulled off a crazy strategy, and that got me the advantage when there was the trucks last year. And then same thing again in the Xfinity car earlier this season. So we'll see what it brings, and yeah, it's definitely going to be a good rest of the season here.
Now, tell us about that burnout. Have you tried it before?
I have not. I usually, when I win, I like to do a burnout down this front stretch, and I figured because of how many caution laps we had at the end that I could probably get a whole lap around. So barely made it, and yeah, it's kind of my signature. I like to do the straight burnout.
Well, it certainly put on a show for all of the people watching at home. Got a lot of checkered flag stickers for wins this year. Add another one. Richard Regan Jr., thank you so much for stopping by, and best of luck going forward.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'd like to give a shout out to Susan G. Coleman, Neonism Paints. You need a paint, go to facebook.com/Neonism and tell them the PRL sent you. JZ Photography, Mission 22, 44 Ever, Multiple Sclerosis Society, everybody at Regenbogen Motorsports, everybody at the PRL. There was an announcement this week about some changes, and the PRL has kind of been getting some slack for it, but it's definitely one of the best leagues on iRacing. So if any of you guys are looking for a league to join with some top-notch drivers, usually we have green to checkered races. So definitely make this one of your primary targets, and I'd like to thank you guys at RaceSpot.
Oh, well, we appreciate that for sure, Richard. You take care, man.
Thank you.
Richard Regan Jr., always a pleasure to talk with Joe, and I believe you're standing by with the third place finisher in Bradley Holly.
Indeed, Bradley Holly taking third with that close fighting that we were talking about. Now, we were hearing some of your talk on the radio towards the end. Was the patience starting to wear thin?
Oh, a little bit. I mean, I knew that with under 5 minutes to go, it was try to get as much as you can, try to keep the tires from spinning on those restarts. There was a couple times where I lost a lot of ground because I just lit them up through the gears.
You had something that caught our eye there on your webcam. You've got a little light to let you know when there is a caution, which we thought was rather cool. But with how much it was on, did that suddenly become sort of hypnotizing, blinking at you so much today?
No. Honestly, I've had it for so darn long that, I don't even notice it at this point. I heard the guys talking that they brought it up, so I had to play along and have some fun with the broadcast and, give everybody a laugh since it was a boring race today.
Yeah, and sorry that it didn't quite go as maybe you would have wanted out on track. But what was your thoughts on the battle with Abner out there? You guys definitely gave as good as you got, because there were some moments where you were both pinched down to the bottom of that curb.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was just talking to him. There was a couple times I thought I was turning him going into the corners, and it's luckily no net code, nothing like that happened to where he got damaged or spun, or I didn't hit the curb and come up into him. It was just good hard racing. I know I had some contact with Danny also, and I think it's just part of this track and how everything was being driven.
Well, regardless, excellent racing out there. You managed to take home a third. So congratulations on the podium. And make sure and give your friend something to eat. He looks a little famished behind you.
He's fine. You give him some bourbon and a cigarette, he'll be fine.
That was Bradley Holly in third place. Dylan, do we have one more to talk to? I see a couple people that look like they might give us some interesting interviews down there if you want to have a chat.
I got one question. One question for Brett Pancari. And my question has to be asked by you, Joe, because I don't know how to word it. And you know what I want to ask.
Does he like candy corn?
Well, sure. Honestly, yeah. Let's go to that question. Seems like an up and down race, and let's end this podcast on a high note.
Yeah, it's about what I expected. I think there was no way we're going to get many green flag laps here at Martinsville. Up the front's not bad, but I knew a car's was going to happen, so I just laid back the whole just always salvage something. But you probably wondered about the costume, like Halloween is close. I wore this tonight. I'm going to be wearing it 4 more times this week. Saturday in FTF here in Martinsville. Monday, Real Sim Racing Cup Series in Martinsville. And then I got a special race Sunday. I'm wearing this as well. So it's Halloween. So I think I wear this costume now. And the way that timing works, going to wear it tonight. So, but yeah, that race was what I expected. Not much more I could say. Carnage galore. Yeah, I wasn't expecting green flag runs.
Well, we appreciate your answer to my dumb question, I should say, and it's certainly we appreciate you giving us some excitement on the broadcast as usual.
All right, thanks, guys.
Brett Bengari, always a pleasure to talk to. But Joe, I think that's that was a good, summation of how tonight's events fared.
I am proud of the drivers for dealing with it well, though. It seemed like we didn't have anybody coming in here shouting and yelling and cursing up a storm. It looked like everybody.
They were all tired and ready to go.
But I think there was still, a good attitude coming in here. Regardless, we can't thank everybody as well enough for coming along, as well as all of our sponsors for this series: Advanced Sim Racing, Racebox Sim Racing, The Butt Kicker, Radness, and Mr. Hedge Sim Racing Photography. Make sure to tune in 2 weeks' time when we come back for Phoenix on November 1st, 2023 at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. But until next time, I'm Joe Peak. Race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.